What if everything around you were an invisible conversation, a dance of frequencies that you are conducting, even without realizing it? From the ancient temples of Egypt to the most advanced quantum physics laboratories, there is a secret that has endured for millennia. Everything in the universe is vibration. Every thought you have, every emotion you feel, every word you speak, each emits a specific frequency that shapes your reality in ways you are about to discover. This is not just another audiobook about manifestation. It is a deep dive into the hidden language that governs the creation of your human experience. Here, you will understand why two people can use the same visualization techniques and achieve completely different results. You will discover why positive affirmations sometimes seem not to work. And most importantly, you will learn how to calibrate your vibrational frequency with the precision of a finely tuned musical instrument. You do not need to believe blindly. You only need to be willing to experiment. Because when you begin to speak the secret language of vibration, the universe has no choice but to respond. Prepare yourself to discover that you are not merely a receiver of frequencies. You are the antenna, the transmitter, and the creator of the symphony we call life. Chapter 1. The universe is speaking. Are you listening? There's a conversation happening right now. Not in words, not in sounds you can hear with your ears, but in frequencies so subtle and so powerful that they're literally shaping every single moment of your existence. The question isn't whether this conversation is happening. The question is, are you participating consciously, or are you broadcasting static while wondering why life feels so hard? Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus was a successful architect who for 15 years built beautiful structures, won awards, and made good money. But something felt profoundly wrong. Every morning he'd wake with heaviness in his chest, a feeling that life was happening to him rather than through him. He tried everything: therapy, medication, new relationships, career changes. Nothing shifted that fundamental sense of disconnection. Then one day, sitting in frustration in his home office, he noticed something strange. Every time he had a particularly anxious thought, his phone would buzz slightly, even though no one was calling. He began to understand. He wasn't just having thoughts and feelings in a vacuum. He was broadcasting, and the universe was responding. What Marcus stumbled upon is what ancient mystics knew intuitively, and what quantum physicists are now proving. Everything in existence is vibration, not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. The chair you're sitting in, the air moving through your lungs, the thoughts forming in your mind, every single cell of your being is in constant motion, vibrating at specific frequencies. You are not a solid, separating entity moving through an empty universe. You are a symphony of vibrations existing within an infinite ocean of vibrating energy. And you're not just a passive instrument in this orchestra. You're the conductor. When you look at matter under powerful enough magnification, solid objects disappear. What you find are atoms, and inside atoms mostly empty space with tiny particles of energy moving at incredible speeds. And when you examine those particles even more closely, you discover they're not particles at all. They're waves, vibrations, probability fields that only collapse into physical reality when they're observed. Your body, which feels so solid and permanent, is 99.999% empty space held together by electromagnetic forces. You are, quite literally, frozen light, vibrating at a frequency slow enough to appear solid. Every thought you think generates an electromagnetic wave. When neurons fire in your brain, They create electrical impulses that produce magnetic fields, extending beyond your skull and into the space around you and your heart. The Heart Math Institute has demonstrated that your heart generates an electromagnetic field approximately 5,000 times stronger than the one your brain produces, measurable up to 10 feet from your body. You're literally broadcasting your internal state into the quantum field every single moment of every single day. The ancient Hermetic principle stated it clearly: as above, so below; as within, so without. What's happening inside you is creating your experience outside of you. When your consistent thoughts and emotions vibrate at a certain frequency, you enter into resonance with matching frequencies in the quantum field. This is why two people can use the exact same manifestation technique and get completely different results. One person visualizes abundance while harboring deep feelings of unworthiness. Another visualizes the same abundance while embodying genuine gratitude. Same technique, opposite results. Because the technique isn't what matters. The frequency matters. Your vibrational state is the only language the universe understands. You can repeat affirmations all day while your emotional frequency broadcasts lack and fear, and the universe will respond to the frequency, not the words, every time. Most people live in what we might call survival frequency, the frequency of stress, anxiety, worry, and fear. In this state, your nervous system is in fight or flight mode. Blood flow moves away from your higher brain centers, and your analytical mind goes offline. You're perceiving reality through the narrow lens of the past, scanning only for what's familiar and safe. You literally cannot perceive the new possibilities that exist in the quantum field. Think about how you spend most of your day. Within seconds of waking, your brain runs the familiar program. The same problems, bills, tensions from yesterday. The same thoughts generate the same emotions, which trigger the same thoughts, creating a loop that becomes your vibrational set point. And the universe responds by giving you more of the same frequency. Not because you're being punished, because resonance is a law, just like gravity. Here's what most people don't realize. Every time you think a thought, you're literally constructing your future, not in some distant, someday way. Right now, the thought you're thinking in this moment is sending out a signal, and that signal is drawing toward you a matching vibration from the field of all possibilities. And the emotion you're feeling right now is instructing your body at a cellular level, literally changing the expression of your genes. Research in epigenetics has proven that your emotional state regulates gene expression. When you feel chronically stressed, genes associated with inflammation and disease turn on. When you feel elevated emotions like gratitude, love, and joy, genes associated with health, vitality, and longevity activate. You're not a victim of your genetics. You're the one dealing the cards through your vibrational state. The quantum observer effect confirms this at a different level. The double-slit experiment in physics demonstrates that particles behave differently when they're being observed versus when they're not. Consciousness, awareness, attention, these aren't passive processes. They're active forces that shape reality at the quantum level. And what is consciousness but a frequency? What is attention but a focused vibration directed toward the specific point in the field? You are not separate from the universe trying to get things from it. You are the universe, localized in a body, experiencing itself. When you truly understand this, when you feel it at a visceral level, you stop begging, stop pleading, stop trying to manipulate reality from a position of lack. You recognize that your only job is to calibrate your frequency to match the reality you wish to experience. Marcus spent 6 months deliberately working with his frequency. He didn't quit his job or move to a monastery. He simply started noticing his vibrational state throughout the day. When he caught himself in survival frequency, he would pause, breathe, and consciously shift, feeling gratitude for what was already present, imagining his future success as if it had already happened, and generating that emotion in the present moment. Within 3 months, opportunities he'd been forcing for years started appearing effortlessly. Within 6 months, health issues doctors couldn't explain began resolving. His entire life reorganized around the new frequency he was broadcasting. And the most interesting part? People who knew him commented that he seemed different, but couldn't put their finger on what had changed. What had changed was his vibrational signature, and everything in his reality had to reorganize to match it. You are a biological quantum computer interfacing with an intelligent field of energy and information. Your thoughts are the software. Your emotions are the power supply. Your beliefs are the operating system. And the universe is the hardware running the program you're inputting every single moment. When you understand this, really understand it, you realize you've never been powerless. You've only been unconscious of your power. The universe isn't testing you. It isn't withholding from you. It's simply responding to the signal you're broadcasting. And the moment you change the signal, it has no choice but to respond differently. Chapter 2. The Anatomy of Your Personal Frequency. Right now, as you're listening to these words, you're broadcasting a signal as unique as your fingerprint. But unlike physical identifiers, this signal is invisible, electromagnetic, and it's creating your reality moment by moment. Tonight, that changes for you. Meet Sarah, a marketing executive who seemed to have everything figured out on the surface. Good job, nice apartment, active social life. But underneath, she felt like she was constantly pushing against an invisible force. She'd set goals and never quite reach them, start relationships that would fizzle out, apply for promotions and watch someone else get them. For years, she blamed external circumstances. Then one day, her yoga instructor said something that stopped her cold. Sarah, you say you want success, but your energy says, I'm not ready, I'm not worthy, I'm afraid. That question led Sarah to discover the 3 components that make up every person's vibrational signature. Your personal frequency is a symphony of 3 instruments playing simultaneously: your thoughts, your emotions, and your deeply held beliefs. Think of it this way. If you were a radio station, your thoughts would be the words being spoken. Your emotions would be the music giving those words power. And your beliefs would be the transmission tower determining how far and clearly your signal reaches. Thoughts are electrochemical events. Every time a neuron fires, it creates an electrical impulse and a magnetic field that extends beyond your skull. Different thoughts create different electromagnetic frequencies. A thought of love creates a different signature than a thought of fear. A thought of abundance creates a different frequency than a thought of scarcity. But here's where most people get stuck. They try to think positive thoughts while their habitual patterns run on autopilot in the background. Neuroscience shows us that about 95% of our thoughts are repetitive. We think the same thoughts today that we thought yesterday, which means we're broadcasting the same signal and creating the same reality. This is why affirmations alone rarely work. You can't override 15 hours of habitual negative thinking with 5 minutes of positive statements. The math doesn't work. Sarah discovered this when she started paying attention to her thoughts throughout the day. She was shocked to realize how automatically she thought things like, "I'm not good enough," or "This probably won't work out." These patterns were so habitual she hadn't even noticed them, like background music playing constantly. Each thought was generating a frequency instructing the quantum field to bring her more of the same experience. Emotions are not just feelings happening in your mind. Emotions are energy in motion. Emotion. When you feel fear, your body produces cortisol and adrenaline. When you feel love or gratitude, it produces oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. These create entirely different internal states. But beyond body chemistry, your emotions affect your electromagnetic field. The heart's field, 5,000 times more powerful than the brain's, changes its pattern based on your emotional state. In stress, it becomes irregular and chaotic. In appreciation or love, it becomes smooth and ordered. This coherent or incoherent field is broadcasting your emotional state into the quantum field, instructing it on what frequency to match. Sarah realized she'd been thinking positive thoughts about success while feeling the emotions of unworthiness and fear. Her thoughts and emotions were sending conflicting signals, like driving with one foot on the gas and one on the brake. The universe was receiving mixed messages. "I want this, but I don't believe I can have it." When you send mixed signals, you get mixed results. The quantum field responds to coherence. Beliefs are the most overlooked and most powerful component. They operate primarily at the subconscious level. And when there's a conflict between your conscious desires and your subconscious beliefs, the subconscious wins every time. Your subconscious programs were installed primarily in childhood, between birth and age 7, when your brain was in a highly receptive theta state. You observed your parents and environment and downloaded their beliefs about money, relationships, success, and worthiness. Unless you've done specific work to change them, these programs are still running right now. Sarah discovered a belief she didn't know she had, that becoming too successful would make her threatening to others, leaving her alone. Her child mind had watched her successful aunt be criticized by the family and concluded success equals rejection. So every time she approached a breakthrough, her subconscious would create self-sabotaging thoughts to protect her from that feared outcome. Your beliefs also act as perceptual filters. Your brain receives approximately 11 million bits of sensory information per second, but your conscious mind can only process about 40. It filters everything else out, keeping only what confirms your existing beliefs. If you believe life is hard, your brain shows you evidence that life is hard. If you believe abundance is your natural state, your brain shows you evidence of abundance. Your beliefs don't just affect your frequency, they determine what reality you perceive. Sarah committed to practicing a new frequency for 90 days. Every morning before getting up, she would consciously generate thoughts of capability and worthiness, then feel the emotions of that future reality in her body. Confidence, excitement, gratitude. She would let these feelings become real in the present moment, not as a future fantasy, but as a current truth. Whenever she caught herself in the old pattern, the thought, "I'm not good enough," the anxiety tightening in her chest, she would pause, breathe, and consciously shift back to her chosen frequency. It wasn't comfortable at first. The old patterns had momentum. The neural pathways carved by years of self-doubt were deep, But she understood that she was doing something precise. She was carving new pathways. Each time she chose the new thought and new feeling, that new pathway became a little deeper, a little more traveled, a little more automatic. By day 30, small changes appeared. Opportunities she would have normally talked herself out of, she said yes to. By 60 days, a promotion opportunity emerged that seemed created specifically for her. A relationship that had been locked in a repetitive pattern shifted into something deeper and more authentic. By 90 days, her entire life looked different, not because external circumstances had magically transformed overnight, but because her frequency had changed, and that changed the choices she made, the opportunities she noticed, the people she attracted, the possibilities she could perceive. She had become a different radio station, and the universe was now delivering different signals. A practical truth worth holding on to. You don't have to believe the new thought or feeling at first. You just have to practice it. At first it feels fake, forced, uncomfortable, because you're going against years of conditioning. But if you persist, something remarkable happens. The new pathway becomes stronger. The new chemistry becomes familiar. The new belief starts feeling true. And when that happens, your personal frequency shifts. And when your personal frequency shifts, your reality has no choice but to shift with it. Your personal frequency is not fixed. It is not determined by your past, your genetics, or your history. It is determined by the thoughts you choose, the emotions you cultivate, and the beliefs you decide to hold as true. Right now, every moment is an opportunity to tune into a different station. Chapter 3. Emotion. The vibrational language of the heart. Here is a secret the ancient mystics knew, and modern science is confirming. Your heart is not just a pump. It is an intelligent center and the most powerful electromagnetic generator in your body. Everything about manifestation and creating your reality comes down to one truth. Emotion is the language the quantum field speaks fluently. Until you master the art of generating and sustaining elevated emotions, you'll keep creating from the frequency of lack and survival. Meet David, a financial advisor who understood intellectually everything about wealth creation. He'd read every book, attended every seminar, knew all the strategies, but his own finances remained frustratingly stuck. He visualized abundance every morning, repeated affirmations about prosperity, even created vision boards. Nothing changed. Then, during one meditation, he realized the truth. Every time he visualized abundance, he felt empty. Every time he affirmed prosperity, he felt desperate. His words were saying yes to abundance, but his emotions were screaming the reality of lack. And the universe, which doesn't respond to your words but to your frequency, kept giving him more lack to match the emotion he was broadcasting. Your emotions vibrate at specific frequencies. Fear vibrates at a very low, dense frequency. Love vibrates at a very high, light frequency. Between these poles exists an entire spectrum. Each emotional state creates a different electromagnetic signature in your heart field, and that heart field is what the quantum field reads and responds to. Not your words, not your visualizations, your emotions, always your emotions. Here's what most people don't understand. Your cells become addicted to whatever emotional state you experience most frequently. Every cell has receptor sites for the chemical messengers created by emotions. When you feel the same emotion repeatedly, your cells crave that chemical signature. When you try to feel something higher, your body goes into a kind of withdrawal. Generating thoughts designed to trigger the familiar emotion to get its chemical fix. This is why people unconsciously create drama, stress, and conflict. Their cells are literally addicted to those chemicals. This is also why visualization without emotion doesn't work. Thinking is a brain activity with a relatively weak electromagnetic field, while feeling is a heart activity with an incredibly powerful one. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you're thinking. It responds to what you're feeling, and more specifically, to the electromagnetic signature your feelings create in your heart field. David stopped trying to visualize what he wanted while feeling empty and started generating the emotion first. He would ask himself, how would I feel if everything I desired was already here? Then he would practice feeling those emotions before visualizing anything. He would sit quietly, hand on his heart, consciously generating gratitude, abundance, and peace. His mind would protest. But you're in debt. You have no evidence. He acknowledged those thoughts and returned to the feeling. He was breaking a cellular addiction, and like any addiction, there were withdrawal symptoms. Within 2 weeks, people commented he seemed different. Clients who had been resistant suddenly became receptive. An unexpected check arrived. A deal that had fallen through came back better than before. Not because he was doing anything different externally, but because he was broadcasting a different frequency from his heart. Here is the crucial principle. You don't need a reason to feel elevated emotions. In fact, waiting for a reason is what keeps most people trapped. Most people think, I'll feel grateful when I have more money. I'll feel joyful when I find my partner. I'll feel abundant when my business succeeds. This is creation in reverse. You're waiting for the external reality to change so you can feel the emotion. The quantum field works the opposite way. You must feel the emotion first, and then the external reality will reorganize to match. You must become grateful before you have the evidence. You must feel abundant before the money appears. You must embody joy before your circumstances justify it. Think about what this means practically. Every morning you wake up and look at your current reality, your bank balance, your relationship status, your body, your circumstances, and you feel the emotions that match that reality. Those emotions then broadcast a frequency that creates more of the same reality. It's a self-reinforcing loop. The only way to break it is to feel the emotion of the reality you want before it exists in physical form. This is not self-deception. This is how all creation works at the quantum level. The feeling precedes the form. The inner precedes the outer. The invisible precedes the visible. This works because of the observer effect in quantum mechanics. At the quantum level, particles exist as waves of probability until they're observed, at which point they collapse into a specific physical reality. Your emotions are a form of observation. When you feel lack, you're observing and creating the reality of lack. When you feel abundance, you're creating the reality of abundance. Your emotional state is literally collapsing the wave of infinite possibilities into the specific experience that matches your feeling. David made one final discovery. He realized he'd been trying to feel abundant in order to get money, which meant he was still operating from lack, still trying to manipulate reality from a position of need. When he shifted to feeling abundant, simply for the sake of the feeling itself, with no agenda, something profound happened. The feeling became genuine, and when his heart truly embodied abundance without needing evidence, the money flowed in ways he could never have orchestrated it or predicted. Your emotions are not reactions to your reality. Your emotions are creations of your reality. You can choose to feel elevated emotions regardless of your circumstances. And when you choose them consistently, your circumstances must change to match. Chapter 4. the hidden power of sound and silence. There is a force so powerful that ancient civilizations built entire temples around it. Mystics devoted their lives to mastering it, and modern science is only beginning to understand its influence on matter, consciousness, and reality. That force is sound, and equally powerful, perhaps more mysterious, is its complement, silence. Meet Maya, a speech therapist who worked with sound every day without understanding its deeper implications. Going through a difficult period, she began one evening to hum, a simple, sustained tone. As she continued, something extraordinary happened. The vibration moved through her chest, her throat, her skull. Her racing thoughts slowed. Her anxiety dissolved. What she'd stumbled upon wasn't just psychological comfort. She had used sound vibration to literally shift her nervous system, alter her brainwave state, and change the electromagnetic field of her body. Your voice is a creative instrument capable of restructuring matter at the molecular level. This is the science of cymatics, the study of visible sound. When you expose water, sand, or any substance to specific sound frequencies, geometric patterns form. Different frequencies create different patterns. Low frequencies create simple forms. High frequencies create increasingly complex and beautiful geometric structures. And your body is approximately 60–70% water. When you create sound, speaking, chanting, humming, singing, you're sending vibrational waves through this water-based medium, literally shaping the structure and function of your cells. The ancient Egyptians knew this. Temple architecture was designed to amplify specific frequencies. Priests would chant particular tones in specific chambers, and the resonance would create powerful effects on healing and consciousness. Vowel sounds were associated with specific energy centers. Ah resonates with the heart. E with the pineal gland. Creates vibration throughout the skull. These were not superstitious rituals. They were sophisticated technologies of consciousness. Modern research confirms that chanting Om reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and creates coherent brainwave patterns. But sound carries more than frequency. It carries intention. When you speak, you're not just creating vibration. You're encoding that vibration with meaning and emotion. Japanese researcher Dr. Masaru Emoto demonstrated this with water crystals. Water exposed to words like love and gratitude formed beautiful, coherent crystals when frozen. Water exposed to hate and fear formed distorted, chaotic patterns. The water responded not just to acoustic frequencies, but to the intention and emotion encoded in them. Every word you speak creates vibrational patterns in your body and your field. When you complain, you're creating coherent patterns of lack in your cells. When you criticize yourself, you're bombarding your body with destructive frequencies. When you speak words of gratitude and empowerment, you're creating patterns of coherence and harmony. Your words don't just express your reality, they create it. Maya committed to becoming conscious of her words. She noticed how often she spoke negatively about her body, her circumstances, herself. She began choosing words that elevated her frequency rather than lowered it, not through denial of reality, but through recognizing that her voice was actively shaping her experience. And then she discovered the other half of this equation: silence. Not the silence of absence, the silence of presence. Not the silence of nothing, but the silence of everything. The quantum field of infinite potential the void from which all creation emerges. In the beginning was the Word, but what was there before the Word? Silence. And that silence is not empty. It is full. It contains all frequencies, all possibilities, all potential realities in unmanifested form. Consider music. What makes music beautiful isn't just the notes. It's the space between the notes. Without silence, music is just noise. The same is true for your life. Without pauses and stillness, life becomes reactive rather than creative. You respond to stimuli instead of originating intention. Silence is where you reconnect with your source and your power. In all mystical traditions, silence has been revered as a path to the deepest truth. Not just external silence, internal silence. The silence that comes when you stop defending your identity, maintaining your story, narrating your experience. In this deep silence, the separation between you and the universe dissolves. You realize there is no separate self trying to attract things from a separate universe. There is only one consciousness expressing itself in infinite forms, and you are not separate from that. You are that. When you sit in silence and allow the mind to settle, your brain waves shift from active beta through relaxed alpha into receptive theta, where you access the vast intelligence of the subconscious, which processes millions of bits of information per second compared to the 40 bits per second your conscious mind handles. Your electromagnetic field stabilizes. All the chaotic frequencies caused by constant mental chatter settle into a calm, organized pattern, like a still pond where you can see clearly to the bottom. But there's something even more profound that happens in true silence. The boundaries of your individual self begin to dissolve. The constant narration, I am Maya, I am worried about this, I need to solve that, grows quiet. And in that quiet, you discover what the mystics of every tradition have pointed toward. The silence itself is aware. There is a witnessing presence beneath all thoughts, all emotions, all identity. This silent awareness is your true nature. It is the space in which all experience arises and to which all experience returns. It is the ocean of which your individual consciousness is a wave. When you touch this silence, even briefly, you touch the source of all creation. Maya learned to trust the silence as much as she trusted the sound. She discovered that her most powerful manifestations didn't come from her active creating, her visualizing, her affirming. They came from the silent space after her practices. It was in the silence that the quantum field could reorganize. It was in the silence that her limited mind stepped aside and allowed infinite intelligence to work through her. Sometimes the most powerful thing she could do was nothing. Not out of passivity, but because in that stillness, she was allowing the universe to do everything. As you prepare for sleep, try this. Take a deep breath, and on the exhale, create a sustained ah sound. Feel the vibration in your heart center. Do this 3 times, each time softer. On the 4th exhale, make no sound, but feel as if the vibration is still there, silent but present. Rest in that silence. Notice its quality. It is not empty, it is alive. It is vibrating with potential. Your voice is a creative force. Your silence is the source of that force. Speak words that elevate. Create sounds that heal. Enter silence that reveals. Both are the language of creation itself. Chapter 5. Living in Resonance. The new frequency of your being. You've learned the language. You understand the mechanics. Now comes the most important part, integration. Because knowledge without application is just information, and information without transformation is entertainment. What does it actually mean to live in resonance, to embody your new frequency so completely that it becomes your natural state, your default setting, your automatic way of being? Meet James, a high school teacher who had spent 2 years studying manifestation, energy work, and consciousness. He understood the concepts brilliantly, but his life wasn't changing. He was still struggling financially, still lonely, still unfulfilled. One day, frustrated, he asked himself a hard question. If I really believed everything I've been learning, how would I be living differently right now? The answer shocked him. He would meditate in the morning and generate high frequencies, then spend the rest of his day completely forgetting everything he'd practiced. He would visualize abundance, then check his bank account 5 times with anxiety. He would affirm his worthiness, then accept disrespectful treatment without speaking up. He had knowledge, but wasn't embodying it. His frequency was still set to survival. Living in resonance means your high frequency isn't something you create through morning practices. It becomes something you are. It's not a technique you apply when you want something. It's the baseline of your existence, regardless of what's happening around you. This is the difference between transformation and temporary change. How do you know when you're living in resonance? There are 5 clear signs. The first is synchronicity. When you're in resonance with your purpose and highest expression, life starts flowing. Things that used to be difficult become easy. Doors begin to open. People who can help you appear at exactly the right time. Opportunities present themselves without forcing or chasing. This is the quantum field responding to your coherent frequency by organizing reality in your favor. James began noticing synchronicities everywhere. A friend he'd been thinking about calling, and that friend calling the same day. A problem he was pondering, and a student asking a question that sparked the exact solution. The more he noticed, the more they happened. Why? Because noticing synchronicity is itself an act of resonance. When you recognize it, you amplify it. The second sign is effortless action. Not that you do nothing, but that action feels inspired rather than forced. You feel pulled toward opportunities rather than chasing them. When James changed his frequency, preparing lessons stopped feeling like a burden. Ideas came spontaneously. His students became more engaged and excited, not because he was doing anything dramatically different externally, but because the frequency from which he was acting had changed. His students could feel it. This is what happens in resonance. Your elevated frequency doesn't just change your experience. It elevates everyone around you. The third sign is emotional resilience. When your baseline frequency is elevated, lower frequency events still happen, but they don't derail you. Someone is rude, and instead of rage, you feel brief irritation that passes. You receive bad news, and instead of spiraling, you take a breath and ask, what's trying to emerge here? You're like a tree with deep roots. Strong winds bend you, but cannot uproot you. This resilience comes from a profound understanding. You are not your circumstances. You are the consciousness experiencing the circumstances. When you identify as consciousness itself, you recognize that circumstances are temporary appearances in the field of your awareness. You maintain your sovereignty even in the middle of challenge. James tested this during a particularly difficult week. His car broke down, a relationship ended. He received news his school might close. The old James would have collapsed into victimhood. Instead, he acknowledged his disappointment and fear without letting those emotions determine his frequency. He breathed, centered, reconnected with his elevated state, and took action from that space. Help with his car came from an unexpected source. He allowed himself to grieve the relationship while knowing something better aligned was coming. He explored new teaching opportunities and discovered options he hadn't known existed. His frequency didn't prevent challenges. It changed how he met them. The fourth sign is your presence affects others positively. People start commenting you seem different, more peaceful, more grounded, more radiant. They want to be around you even if they can't explain why. Your coherent heart field is literally affecting their fields. When you broadcast a strong, coherent frequency, more chaotic frequencies naturally align to yours. You become an emotional leader, not through domination, but through resonance. Family members become calmer around you. Difficult people either shift or naturally exit. New people who show up match your new frequency. You don't have to explain or defend your way of being. You simply embody your frequency, and reality reorganizes around it. The fifth sign is a deep sense of trust, not trust that everything will turn out exactly as your mind plans it, but trust that you're guided, supported, and exactly where you need to be. This trust comes from accumulated evidence, the synchronicities, the effortless manifestations, the resilience, the effect on others. You're no longer living in constant anxiety about the future, frantically trying to control outcomes. You make plans and take action, but hold them lightly, remaining open to better possibilities than what your limited mind can imagine. Paradoxically, this surrender of control gives you more real power than all your forcing ever had. Because when you control, you operate from fear. When you trust, you operate from infinite possibility. So how do you maintain this state in a world constantly trying to pull you into lower frequencies? The answer is not more techniques or a longer morning routine. It's bringing conscious awareness to every moment of your day, making your entire life the practice. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to choose your frequency. Someone is rude. You can match their low frequency or maintain yours with compassion. Disappointing news arrives. You can spiral or take a breath and ask what's trying to emerge. A free moment appears. Instead of reaching for your phone, take 60 seconds to close your eyes, feel your heart, and generate gratitude. These small moments of conscious choice accumulate. They compound. They build momentum. Soon, choosing your frequency becomes as automatic as breathing. James created what he called frequency anchors throughout his day. Before getting out of bed, he generated elevated emotions and set his frequency for the day. Before entering his classroom, he paused at the door, took a breath, and chose to enter as his highest self. Before eating, a moment of gratitude. Before sleeping, a review of the day, not with judgment, but with appreciation for the moments he stayed in resonance and compassion for the moments he didn't. And here's what's most important. It's not about perfection. You will have moments where you drop into lower frequencies. You will have days where old patterns resurface. This is not failure. The goal is not to never feel fear, anger, or sadness. The goal is not to identify with those emotions as who you are. Feel them, acknowledge them, allow them to move through you, and then consciously choose to return to your elevated frequency. Every time you do this, you're strengthening the neural pathways of your new frequency. You're teaching your body that elevation is now home, and anything lower is just a temporary visit. Think of your frequency like a radio station. If it's set to 98.5 FM, that's where it stays until something bumps the dial. Living in resonance means your default setting is high frequency. External circumstances might temporarily bump the dial, but you've developed the awareness and skill to notice and tune back. Over time, the dial becomes more stable. It takes more force to move it. Your elevated frequency becomes more permanent, more natural, more unshakable. As you listen to these words tonight and prepare for sleep, I want you to make one commitment, not to be perfect, but to be conscious. A commitment to pay attention to your frequency throughout your day, to choose elevation over reaction, to trust the process even when you can't yet see the results. Here's the truth. You've already begun to change, simply by opening yourself to these ideas, by allowing these frequencies to wash over you as you enter that deeply receptive state before sleep. You're reprogramming your subconscious. You're installing new software. You're building new neural pathways. Transformation doesn't always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it happens so subtly that you don't notice until you look back and realize you're simply not the same person who started listening. And here is the most beautiful part. As you live more consistently in resonance, you don't just change your own life. Every person who shifts from survival to creation, from fear to love, from chaos to coherence, contributes to the collective field of consciousness. Your coherent heart field doesn't just affect those immediately around you. It contributes to the possibility of a world where more of humanity operates from elevated consciousness rather than survival programming. You are not just transforming your personal reality. Every moment you choose love over fear, gratitude over complaint, trust over control. You're casting a vote for the world you want to live in. As you drift into sleep now, let go of everything you've learned. Don't try to remember it all or figure out how to apply it tomorrow. Simply let it settle into your subconscious like seeds planted in fertile soil. Trust that even as you sleep, your cells are restructuring, your neural pathways are rewiring, your electromagnetic field is recalibrating to a higher frequency. Transformation doesn't always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it happens so subtly that you don't notice until you look back and realize you're simply not the same person who started listening. You are a magnificent being, temporarily experiencing limitation in physical form. But that limitation is not who you are. It's just an experience you're having. Your true nature is infinite, unlimited, powerful beyond measure. And now you're remembering how to express that truth through the language the universe speaks perfectly. Vibration, frequency, resonance. The ancient mystics knew this. The quantum physicists are confirming it. And somewhere beneath all your conditioning, all your fear, all your habitual thinking, you have always known it too. That restlessness, that quiet sense of there being something more, that feeling that life could be different, that you could be different. That was not delusion. That was resonance. That was the highest version of you calling to the version of you that hadn't yet awakened. You heard the call, you answered, and now the real journey begins. Welcome home to your power. Welcome home to the recognition that you and the universe are not separate. You are the universe experiencing itself, creating itself, loving itself, and the frequency you choose to embody is the reality you experience. Choose consciously, choose courageously, choose the highest frequency you can imagine, and watch as your entire reality reorganizes to match it. This is living in resonance. This is the new frequency of your being. This is who you truly are.